What's up, friends? This is Manni, and we were ready for the mission in Star Citizen, but unfortunately the game itself was not. For the red level contract support VIP clients for 495,000 credits, that is the most challenging and difficult space combat mission that the game has, aside from perhaps certain events like the incursion event that requires a whole server to complete. But on your own with a couple of friends, this is as hard as it gets, and unfortunately, boom, we already had some frame drops just gathering our fleet. Okay, so this is a problem that you're gonna see later on in a much higher scale. There are just too many ships. So the point of this video here is to show you what could be potentially one of the most interesting and fun missions that, by the way, requires a ridiculous amount of farming and reputation gaining to get to the point of getting that mission. We're talking weeks of farming, okay, and mission running. And then eventually you're gonna get to this point where you can accept that mission. And we had one person in our combined organizations here who had it. Another person is close to getting it, but yeah. And then we were like hyped to jump in and test the missions. Of course, we already knew some of the things beforehand, but yeah, we jumped in with 2 Idrises and 2 Polaris, almost fully manned. This is the mission in question, the red level contract support VIP. As you see here, according to the list here that I will also link for you in the video description pinned comment, the red level contract is listed as 405,000. And the person who gathered this information said, I assure you, you need a manned Idris and Polaris for this one, and he is not wrong. One of them probably doesn't even cut it. Especially for the 495k, which I'm not sure why it's not listed in that list. Maybe they updated the rewards, or this is actually an extra mission. But you will not get far with just one fully manned Idris. But you're going to get an idea of the problem right now. And that's why I'm saying we were ready. The game is not. There is about... The document I just showed you says that there will be 10 plus ships with 2 hammerheads, redeemers and whatnot, and other fighters, but it is much more than that. There are 50 ships, probably more. Because we can't count them because there's a little marker for some ships, but not all ships have their own marker. It's just too much. There's a number of hammerheads, maybe even 4 of them. Like I said, it's hard to count, it's hard to get an overview, because as soon as you get into this combat, the frame rate dips down to an absolute ridiculously low level. And you see I'm actually hitting the hammerhead right there with my laser, but I'm trying to steer this with like 4, 5, 7, 8 FPS, okay? And that is a nightmare. In a minute, I'll show you the FPS, I'll display them to you, so you can literally see them with your own eyes. And in order to give you, at least as a viewer, a decent viewing experience, we're accelerating the gameplay here by 500%. Okay, so 5 times the speed. In the top left corner, you see the frame rate. It dips as low as 3 FPS. Now, this is run on a Ryzen 9950X3D processor, an RTX 5090 on fast SSDs with a very fast 64GB Expo RAM. And I'm dipping as low as 3 FPS. Sometimes, in average, we're about 5, 6, 7 FPS. And accelerated, the gameplay looks for you smooth now, but believe me, it is unplayable. And you see now the ship has been destroyed. We were supposed to escort a ship, and it just got destroyed. At the moment this happened, most of the enemy ships disappeared. Not all of them. You see there's a huge amount of red markers still around, but most of the enemy ships have basically despawned in the moment we failed the mission. And boom, you see the frame rate in the top left climbing up to 13, 14, 15, sometimes 20, and the game is now at least playable, okay? This is like I think this is similar to what the incursion event, the casino incursion event was. Like 19, 20 FPS, I believe that's what I remember playing, although I was playing on a laptop then and not this beast here. But then again, you see, now I can actually destroy the hammerhead. I can actually hit it with the laser, and the ships are not jumping around anymore. The way I understand it is that we have 2 separate problems running simultaneously because of the amount of ships. First, our local PC performance is not good enough. Not because the hardware can't do it, because you can see in the top left, the utilization of our hardware is awful, right? My GPU, for instance, can pull 570 watts, and it's doing what, 140 right now? The CPU can do up to 144 watts in crossload with the GPU. It's not doing that. So the PC could just deliver so much more, but it's not going to be done by the game in these moments, and that's why we even have local problems with FPS. And then is the second problem, the server performance that is not able to keep up. The server frame rate is going down tremendously, and that results in additional problems for like jumping ships. Even if you do get the laser connected with the enemy hammerhead, in these terrible moments, the hammerhead would just jump 3 kilometers somewhere else, and you're gonna have to re-aim at it for like half a minute under these conditions. I was steering the ship and I had all this feedback from my gunners in my ears, and they were just saying, we can't hit anything. We just can't. It's impossible. So there's a different number of problems, and it all leads back to one problem, or to one cause: too many ships. And this is where I think I have a suggestion here, is that instead of having jump in and having like 50 ships waiting for us all at once, why not bring them in phases, okay? And have 2 hammerheads, maybe 1 Polaris in there too, and a bunch of fighters, but not so that we have 50 ships, but rather maybe, let's say, 15 ships there, okay? This way, the server and the local performance would be better, and we would be able to play with a decent frame rate, and we would still kind of have the same opposition because there's a Polaris now replacing what previously was a bunch of fighters. And then, you know, you could swap in more and more like waves of enemies. You could give us 5 minutes of time, and then you would spawn in another group of ships. And this way, giving us time to defeat the first wave, we would constantly be able to play with a halfway acceptable frame rate and be able to play the mission, okay? So that's my suggestion here. I don't want to make this a rant video. It's just that, unfortunately, as cool as this mission could be, right now, we can't play it at all. Like, it's not really functional. Unless this was a bug and the game was not supposed to spawn this many ships, but every other time we did it, or I've been told about it, it was the same thing. So maybe it's just spawning too many ships. But that would be my workaround for the moment, until maybe server meshing and whatever server-sided can keep up with these amount of ships, which ultimately in the future should be able to happen, right? The game should be able to handle that in the future. Right now it can't. So we need a workaround, and that would be my suggestion, because the mission is fantastic, and I love the fact that there is a end game, like a real high end game content where you have to farm and mission run for weeks to get there, and then you have this awesome reward of these fantastic missions. I wish you could play them, okay? So yeah, my suggestion here, or advice, and also a little bit of an entertaining video. Hopefully you guys had a fun time watching this, even though unfortunately I was not able to show you all of the mission that would come later. If you do know exactly what amount of opposition we can expect in the further phases, because there can be 4 jump phases. One of them is an all clear, so there's 3 different ones where you face opposition. What exactly is the opposition we can expect in all of them? Do you know that? If you do know that, please let us down in the comment section. And the comment that lists that the best way, I will pin it so that everybody can look at it, okay? So check down the comments. Chances are somebody knows, and we can learn from him, okay? I always like to use the community in that regard, also because you guys are awesome. You have so much, they are such a great resource. And we know together so much more than we know individually. So let's use that. Thank you guys for watching. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet, if you like to stay up to date on everything Star Citizen. And I catch you hopefully in the next video. Manni signing off. Bye-bye, my friends.